All right. So we have had COVID-19, and I think most of us may know of somebody who, either as a tenant or a landlord, has been affected by it in terms of receiving payment or making payment. It's been an economic downturn overall for everybody. What is the basis of this specific webinar that you are going to be hosting?
Jazakallah. Since the introduction of the disaster management regulations by the President, and since the introduction of level 5, level 4, level 3, there's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of misunderstanding as to the position guarding landlords and tenants. And one of the purposes of the webinar is to shed some light and to explain the current position, and we are currently on level 2. What is the position with regards to landlords and what is the position with regards to tenants? Because in practice, from both a landlord and a tenant perspective, we have experienced many of our colleagues that people don't understand what is the correct position. There's obligations by the landlord and there's obligations by the tenants. So the purpose of the webinar is to shed light and to explain both the rights and obligations of landlords and tenants during level 2.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And many tenants have been simply unable to pay during these lockdown months. Do they have any recourse, or are they obligated to fulfill that responsibility?
Every case concerning a dispute between a landlord and a tenant has to be resolved, and there are various platforms and institutions where such disputes can be resolved. For example, if a tenant is unable to pay, a tenant, for example, could approach the housing tribunal. The tenant might have legitimate reasons why he or she is unable to pay rental, possibly also due to COVID. But simply because they're unable to pay doesn't mean the landlord doesn't have any rights, because a landlord in many instances has a bond on the property and he depends and relies on income from the tenant to service his bond. And the banks, as you know, had an initial 3-month holiday period for bond repayments, and which has now come to an end. They might not accommodate a landlord. So there has to be some middle ground that has to be reached between a landlord and a tenant with regards to the payment of rental. However, if the landlord, for example, has acted unlawfully, then a tenant can possibly approach the housing tribunal. And this is one of the speakers tonight, Dr. Syed Iqbal Mohammed of the KZN Housing Tribunal, will shed light to try and see where tenants can be safeguarded with regards to non-payment. And but the purpose is to try and sort of encourage tenants to cooperate and work with landlords to try and reach an amicable solution to whichever problems they are facing.
Yes, and you mentioned one of the first panelists there, Syed Iqbal Mohammed. And who are the other participants and their backgrounds?
The other speaker is Mohammed Mullah. He's actually from Durban. He hails from Durban, but he's based in Cape Town. Mohammed is a very senior magistrate in Cape Town, and he obviously sits on the bench, and he hears cases relating to disputes between landlords and tenants on a daily basis. And the purpose of his contribution towards the media is to explain processes and rights and protection afforded to both landlord and tenants. So his intention tonight will be to shed light and to give some clarity and guidance, because the public accountants and lawyers are faced with these kinds of disputes on a daily basis, and hopefully, inshallah, you'll be able to enlighten us on that particular position.
And once again, just the details of the particular webinar and how can people log on to it?
Certainly. The webinar, in order to link up, one needs to send an email to info@amal.co.za. I'll repeat it, info@amal.co.za. And we also have contact numbers. The landline is 031-207-3381. I'll repeat that, 031-207-3381. And a cell number, 062-638-0056. 062-638-0056. We've had a number of people that have already registered, so it's going to be quite exciting, and I'm sure it will shed a lot of light and possibly cover the grey areas which are currently existing with regard to landlord and tenant relationships during COVID-19.
Absolutely. That is once again hosted by the Association of Muslim Accountants and Lawyers of South Africa, the Cape Town chapter. They're inviting you to a webinar on landlords and tenants in regards to COVID-19, moderated by our guest this morning, Mr. Ashraf Parker. He's an attorney and conveyancer. And the panelists there, Syed Iqbal Mohammed, Deputy Chairperson of the KZN Rental Housing Tribunal, and Magistrate Mohammed Mullah, Senior Lawyer and Magistrate in Wynberg, Cape Town. Mr. Ashraf Parker, Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we definitely will share those details once again.
Jazakallah to you and to all the listeners, and we look forward to them joining, and they'll be able to pose questions tonight as well. We allocated some time for questions to be posed, and hopefully, inshallah, the panelists will be able to answer them to the best of their ability, inshallah. So we look forward to that tonight, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, that email once again, info@amal.co.za, info@amal.co.za. The cell phone number 062-638-0056, or the Amal office number 031-207-3381. You need to call them or email them and make a booking, and then they'll send you the link for the Zoom chat. And that's happening tonight, Wednesday, the 16th of September, starting at 8 o'clock in the evening. And landlords and tenants, I'm sure many, many people would be interested in this particular discussion.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
After all these years, millions of Syrian refugees and displaced persons are still struggling to get adequate food and nutrition. Since 2014, the Al-Imdad Foundation's Flour for Syria campaign has provided daily bread to these Syrians. For just 5,000 Rand, you can sponsor 1 ton of flour and ensure that 10,000 pita loaves are delivered to desperate Syrian communities. Part donations are also accepted. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 2